Psalm chapter 55 and verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. This is Associated Press, and this was 1 day ago. Trump says Israel attack on Iran is not imminent, but could very well happen. Going back to what our forefather King David said about Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Psalms 55 and verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
How imminent is the Israeli strike on Iran?
Well, I don't want to say imminent, but it looks like it's something that could very well happen.
How confident are you, sir, that conflict with Iran can be avoided?
Well, I'd love to avoid the conflict. Iran's going to have to negotiate a little bit tougher, meaning they're going to have to give us some things that they're not willing to give us right now.
What the Israelis told you
that made you start to evacuate the dependents of
servicemen and women who are stationed in the Middle East.
They didn't tell me anything, but I said, look, there's a chance of massive conflict. We have a lot of American people in this area, and I said, we got to tell them to get out.
And why do we have to tell them to get out? Because war was already in his heart. The Hebrew word going back to lab, which means your mind. They already had this pre-planned of what they was getting ready to do.
Something could happen soon. And I don't want to be the one that didn't give any warning and missiles are flying into their buildings. It's possible. So I had to do it.
What do we have happening now that it's Friday? What has Israel done? White House response to Israel's strike on Iran, because war was already in this damn devil's heart.
Now to the response from the White House with Mary Bruce. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Michael. Well, this is exactly what President Trump had been hoping to avoid for weeks. He's been trying to...
Hoping to avoid. We just got exactly what was on Donald J. Trump's mind. He told you an attack was imminent.
Do it. I had the choice. Do I do it or not? Doing it has its downside, but it also has its upside. Like, you're going to save a lot of lives if it should happen. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Well, it's too late. It's happening.
Strike a nuclear deal with Iran and avoid a broader conflict. In fact, just moments before these strikes overnight, the president had taken to social media calling for a diplomatic resolution. He had warned Netanyahu that an attack like this would be inappropriate and said it would derail talks, that it would, quote, blow it. Now, just moments ago, the president, speaking with our John Carl, said of the attacks that he thinks it's been excellent. He said, we gave them a chance and they didn't.
He thinks it's been excellent. The attack that Israel just did on Iran, assassinating one of the top generals. He said, hey, man, it's excellent. Let's hear that one more time.
Of the attacks that he thinks it's been excellent. He said, we gave them a chance and they didn't take it. They got hit hard, very hard. They got hit about as hard as you're going to get hit. And there's more to come, a lot more.
And there's more to come. A lot more. And that's the pride of these goddamn devils, which are the Edomites, the biblical nationality of the so-called white race. Obadiah chapter 1, which is just one book, and verse 1. And it goes into what? Edom, the so-called white people, will be humbled. That's what the Lord is preparing to do. And it also goes into Edom's judgment announced. The vision of Obadiah, thus said the Lord power concerning Edom. So that's what this whole entire book is concerning, the so-called white people. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador, which is a representative for war, is sent among the heathen. Arise ye. And the Russian ambassador has left America a long time ago, showing you there's no more peace deals. There's no more treaties. talking about peace anymore. And let us rise up against her. And who is her? Babylon, the filthy whore, which is America, and battle. And what is that battle? The last battle, which is World War III. The scriptures call it Armageddon. Verse 2. Behold, I, which is the heavenly Father, speaking through the prophet Obadiah, have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. And who is this speaking about once again? Who is this concerning? Edom, the so-called white people. They're really the minority. And that's why they want to deport all the illegals, because they outnumber, including the so-called Negroes and Native American Indians, which are the biblical Israelites here on the soils of America, but also over there in Israel. They're surrounded by who? Arabs. As you can clearly see here on this map, you got Israel right here in the red. And what are they surrounded by? Egypt, which is a dark nation of people. Saudi Arabia, which is a dark nation of people. Syria, which is a dark nation of people. Turkey, which is a dark nation of people. And then you got the red. And that's what Edom means. When you get the etymology, it means red. Because they're not really so-called white. But they're really the minority. They're small. So going back to Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. And this is speaking to who? Esau, Edom, the so-called white people. They're truly the minority. Thou art greatly despised. And it's not Benjamin Net and not a Jew, hated over there in Israel. That's the reason why they got to forward this war. Or else his ass is going to be hung or locked up in jail for life for war crimes. And that's why they're greatly despised. And as well as America. What did they do to the Middle East? Destabilize that place. The so-called war on terror. Bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, right? Weapons of mass destruction. Something that they're pretty much painting a narrative around Iran right now. And that's the reason why they struck them. Because they didn't want to get rid of their nuclear program. So going back to Obadiah. Chapter 1 and verse 3 now. The pride, and what's the American slogan? We're proud to be an American. The pride. What did Donald J. Trump say about that strategic attack that Israel did to Iran? It was excellent. The pride of thine heart had deceived thee. Why? Because Esau has been in power for so long that he thinks he'll never go down. Nobody can fuck with the American military. And that's the reason why Israel went on ahead and struck Iran. Because they got Big Brother America backing them. But guess what? The pride of thine heart had deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the cliffs of the rock, whose habitation is high, that high exalted and lofty kingdom or queendom here upon this earth. Because it says, let us rise against her, the nasty whore, which is Babylon the Great, aka America, whose habitation is high. The highest flying pridefulest bird, right? The eagle. The eagle has landed on the moon, right? That saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Who's going to stop the American military? That's Esau's thoughts. That's his mind state. Verse 4, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, whose habitation is high, the highest flying, most pridefulest bird a predator that pounces upon its prey. And that's what America has been doing to all the nations. And that you can clearly see with what they're doing to Iran now, being a bully. But guess what? They got allies to come up against the bully, like China, like Russia, the bear. And though thou set thy nest among the stars, and that's their satellites, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. So that's what the Lord is preparing to do. But Esau has it in his mind, if he takes down Iran, which is the last place that they want to destabilize before they set up their new world order, their one world system, that he will be God. But the Lord is snaring him.
When asked if the U.S. participated in the attack in any way, the president interestingly said, "I don't want to comment on that." That is not what Marco Rubio said last night, the Secretary of State coming out very quickly and making it clear that the U.S. was not involved, saying flatly, "Let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel," because, of course, Iran has warned that it will retaliate against the U.S. Now, the president this morning is set to meet with his National Security Council in the Situation Room, and this morning he still seems to be holding out hope that somehow these nuclear talks can be salvaged, posting just a short while ago urging Tehran to come to the table, saying Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left, adding, "Just do it before it is too late." George?
And Martha, let me go back to you. The president says,
And there you go. Just do it before it's too late. That's the pride of America. When that's their God-giving right, if they want to have a nuclear program, hell, you do, America. So what gives you the right to dictate what they do in their country? But that's the pride that Esau, he think that he's God. You're going to do as I say, or there's going to be consequences, right? Going back to the first video clip, they're trying to paint it like America ain't got nothing to do with it. Well, we got it from the rabbit's mouth himself. He already told you. Trump says Israel attack on Iran is not imminent, but could very well happen. And it has happened. But guess what? Now, Iran fires wave of missiles at Israel and retaliatory strikes, showing you we're in full-fledged war.
Iran launching a fresh round of strikes tonight. You can see them streaming through the night sky over Tel Aviv, explosions rattling the city. Take a look at this video taken from a balcony showing smoke billowing from the ground right after a strike. Most missiles intercepted, but debris raining down, causing damage and injuries. This retaliation coming after Israel struck more than 200 targets overnight, including 2 key Iranian nuclear sites. Take
over 200 targets Israel has targeted over there in Iran. And this goes into biblical prophecy. Jeremiah 50 and verse 45. Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord. And this is the Lord's plans pretty much that he had taken against Babylon. And we know what Babylon is here today, the daughter of it, which is America. And his purposes that he had purposed against the land of the Chaldeans, the modern day wizards, witches, and warlocks, are you Americans. Elon Musk, right? He said what? We're summoning the demons with AI, artificial intelligence. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Who is the least over there in Israel? Or Salaki, I just mentioned it. Who is the least over there in the Middle East? Israel is. Who are they surrounded by? The Arab nations, the African nations, which are all melanated people. Going back to Obadiah. What did Obadiah say? Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small. The Edomites is the smallest nation. They're the minority among the heathen. You go back to the map, Israel, that's a small nation compared to what they're surrounded by. The Arabs. thou art greatly despised. It's not Israel and America hated over there in the Middle East, in Asia, China, Japan. They ain't forgot about Hiroshima, Nagasaki dropping the atomic bomb. You Americans are hated worldwide. Russia, Putin, and so forth and so on. That's why all the different nations are gathering with who? The BRICS, Big Brother Russia, the bear. Because you're greatly despised. And the Lord said, what now? In Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 45. Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord, that he had taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he had purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock, which is the Israelis, Benjamin and Yahoo, shall draw them out. Did not Israel strike Iran with American-backed weaponry or aid? Yes, they did. And that's going to draw America into what? World War III. Surely the least of the flock, Israel, Benjamin and not a Jew, shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation, America, desolate with them. So Israel and also America, their destination is to become what? Desolate, destroyed. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and the cry is heard among the nations. That's what the nations are, getting ready to talk about. The destruction of this goddamn place.
Taking out some of Iran's top military leaders and scientists. U.S. markets shaken, the Dow falling more than 700 points.
Ooh, U.S. markets what? Shaken.
President Trump telling NBC News today Iran may have another opportunity now to make a nuclear deal. We've got full coverage, starting with Matt Bradley tonight, live in Tel Aviv.
Tonight, waves of Iranian missiles targeting Israel. You can see Israeli air defenders take out most of them in the night sky. But some landed. This impact in Tel Aviv. Smoke rising in the city's center. Earlier, Israeli officials texted warnings to take cover.
What we are hearing right now is what it's called an extreme alert. We are being told to move now to a secure place.
So we just got down to the safe room here in our office building. We've been hearing outgoing missile defense and incoming explosions from those Iranian rockets, most of them interceptions. The U.S. is helping Israel shoot down Iranian missiles, according to 3 U.S. officials. The Pentagon moved a number of military assets, including Navy destroyers, to the region in recent days to defend Israel, according to another U.S. official. Well, tonight, Israel says the Iranian regime crossed a red line and will pay a heavy price for firing into civilian population centers. The Iranian retaliation coming just hours after Israel's surprise strikes on nuclear sites and military leadership inside Iran. Smoke rising above Natanz, an Iranian nuclear facility. Israel saying the operation, dubbed Rising Lion, killed Iranian nuclear scientists and generals, including Hossein Salami, commander of the Revolutionary Guard. Israel saying Iran's nuclear program posed a clear and present danger, and Iran had enough enriched uranium to build 15 nuclear bombs.
I want to assure the civilized world, we will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons.
According to multiple Israeli outlets citing an anonymous source, the Mossad spy agency smuggled missiles into Iran months ago, and also secretly installed explosive drones inside Iran for this operation. Meanwhile, President Trump tonight meeting with his national security officials. In a phone interview with NBC's Garrett Hake this morning, the president saying he was pleased with the Israeli strikes against Iran, that Israel had...
There you go. He was pleased with the Israeli strikes on Iran. And that's pretty much validating that he gave the okay to go ahead and strike. That we got your back, Israel. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. That's what's being happening. Or that's what's happening, which is biblical prophecy.
Had the finest equipment in the world, which is American equipment, and that the Iranian government missed the opportunity to make a deal. Now, they may have another opportunity. We'll see. The U.S. has recently been negotiating with Iran over its nuclear program. The U.S. considers Iran a state sponsor of terrorism, and President Trump has repeatedly said he will not allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
They can't have a nuclear weapon.
But you can. America got hundreds of them, right? But Iran and other countries, they can't have them.
I prefer the more friendly path.
Both Iran and Israel tonight saying more strikes are coming. The U.S. warning Iran not to target U.S. troops in the region.
We mentioned those fresh attacks at the top of the broadcast. Matt Bradley and his team back in that bomb shelter. Matt, what can you tell us?
Yeah, that's right, Tom. Back in the bomb shelter for that third volley of Iranian missiles. And we just heard the latest casualty figures. 34 people injured tonight here in Israel, one of them critically. Tom?
Matt Bradley leading us off from Tel Aviv tonight. Matt, we thank you. Let's get straight to Richard Engel, who has covered this region for decades. Richard, walk our viewers through what we saw in the skies, these bombardments over Iran and Israel. There were some very clear differences.
Vastly different scenarios. The Israeli jets, dozens of them, were able to strike targets all across Iran, apparently with impunity. They hit about 200 targets in every part of the country. Compare that to what happened in Israel. Iran fired ballistic missiles, maybe 100 of them, according to Israel, at two cities, two concentrated population centers that are relatively easy to hit, hoping that some of these ballistic missiles would make it through the net, and very few of them did.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay up.
So there you go. We'll close it out with Revelation. Revelation 11 and verse 14. The second woe, which is representation of World War II, and woe goes into destruction. And that's what these nations possess now, weapons of mass destruction. The second woe is past, meaning it's came and gone. And the weaponry that we possess here in these last days, once again, amen, can destroy whole entire continents. Much more damage than what World War II did. And behold, the third woe, which is representation of World War III. And once again, we got nuclear capability now. Something 10 times stronger than an atomic bomb. And you see the damage from that. From Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Japan. The third woe, World War III, cometh quickly, man. This thing is happening fast. That report that Donald J. Trump gave was just a couple days ago. Now we're in Saturday now, and Iran has already struck Israel back with retaliation attacks. And this thing is only going to escalate and come quickly. Call hello Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai for giving me the spirit to do this lesson. Kwam Yashala, which means rise Israel, and it's on to the next one. Shalom.